the #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.
Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to episode 227 of Costa Rica Real Estate and Investments with me, your host, Richard Beckson. Today, we're going to be talking with Cristina Guerrini before. She's a residency and real estate partner at Blue Zone Legal. We've had her on quite a few times. We've just got a great update here from the investor visa, so it'd be great to get her on here, get a bit of an update of kind of what's happening there, and also just kind of what's happening in residency in general. As I know, based on the North American elections, it has a few people making some important decisions, so we'd like to give them the information so that they can make an informed decision about investing in Costa Rica and the residency that comes with it. So we'll get straight into that podcast in a minute. Remember, guys, if you are looking to invest in Costa Rica, we do actually have quite a few vehicles out there. A lot of you have actually got involved in them. We're developing in Manuel Antonio and Arenal, and you guys have the opportunity to kind of be a part of that, a lifestyle investment where you get usage rights and also returns every single year through dividends. And then at the end, we actually sell the property and the funds get returned to the shareholders, which are the investors, which are you. And alternatively, if you are looking to do anything here in Costa Rica, relocation, building, construction, we actually do a lot of project management. We have about 30 projects here currently in Costa Rica. I am a sucker for helping people and hate to see people basically lose money here in Costa Rica. So even if you just want to talk, guys, you can email us info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. Also in the description down below are all of the contact details plus links that you can use to organize a chat with us. Again, no obligation. Even if you're considering it and just want to kind of point in the right direction or want some contacts, we'd be happy to chat with you. But let's get straight into the podcast. Good afternoon, Cristina. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. It feels weird because, again, it feels like you were just on the podcast yesterday, but I think it was episode like 215 and we're on 227. So that was a couple of months back. But I know there's been quite a bit of movement in the residency world. So just wanted to kind of give everyone a bit of an update here because I know quite a few people are making investments in Costa Rica and want to use that to get residency.
Yeah, totally. No, thank you for having me again. I know it was not a long time ago, but I think I have very interesting updates and positive ones, which is great compared to the last time.
Well, let's get the positive update in 2 seconds. But I mean, I just want to get an update. I mean, you know, since US elections, I mean, how has like your workload changed?
I think it's too soon to see an impact on my workload.
Yep.
I did notice that most of the expat community representative, at least on social media, did not like the results of the elections. So I think it may impulse more people to get residency here based on what I've seen. And I've seen a lot of concern.
Okay, but no major like flood of inquiries to you or anything yet?
No, not really. Okay. Not really. No, I just noticed, I follow social media and groups of expats online, and that's what I noticed.
Well, last time that we chatted, and I think it was mainly about the investor visa applications were just being rejected left, right, and center. Yes. What's happened since we last spoke?
There was a big movement against the rejections. I don't know if you hear me because you froze.
Yep, we're good.
So there was a big movement against those rejections, and I think it was a productive one, and we've seen the results. Very recently, the director of the immigration department resigned. Word by mouth say that it is not that voluntary, but the former director is already on vacation, and the subdirector of immigration is currently, taking the charge of the former director, and we will see what happens. But what I did notice is that suddenly I was receiving notification, approved. There was one day we had 20 cases approved.
Wow.
And it was like, me and my team were like, whoa, what's going on? What happened?
And were they all investor visas, Cristina?
Many investor visas. That gives me hopes. So I was very worried because investor visas were the category being most affected. But now it seems that things are back on track, and they are, I'm not asking for anything not by the law. All the clients that have been approved had complied with all the requirements, but some of them had been waiting since 2021.
Wow.
And I can also tell you that unofficially, I even got, for the first time in 10 years that I've been dealing with immigration, I got a call at my mobile number. I'm like, what's going on? And it was immigration who basically realized that they failed to ask us the right requirements when they notify like a request for clarification. So now they have a very difficult situation, because if they deny the application, it will be their mistake.
Yeah.
But they are saying that they don't have enough documents to approve the residency. So they were like, can you just, maybe submit these documents for us? And I'm like, sure. Can you send me a written request? And they were like, not really. I'm like, it's fine. I will submit the document. It's fine. It's more information. But it's like, I think that behind this, there is an intent of immigration to show proof of good faith, and that applying for residency is still possible, and getting residency is still possible in Costa Rica. So that's positive.
Well, I hoped I helped a little bit behind it. I remember once you mentioning something about one of our clients that we worked on.
I lost you again.
And then,
sorry, could you repeat? I didn't hear.
Yeah, sure. I can hear you perfectly, Cristina, just so you're aware.
Okay.
But I remember a while back, you had messaged me, and I reached out to some political contacts that I had, and especially one that was involved in immigration. So look, I think it's when these things happen is you reach out to your network and put pressure from every single angle, because you just don't know which one's ever going to work.
Yeah, I know. I had many clients who were very frustrated, and they were like, can you please explain to them that my contribution to this country is essential, and and that I need this for whatever reason? I'm like, it's not subjective. There's a list of requirements. They have to check the requirements, period. It's not that you may be a nicer person than someone else. You deserve it more than someone else. And it's not that I did talk with you and the chambers of commerce and other contacts that I have, but not to push a specific case.
Yep.
Rather, I wanted to push towards a solution for everyone,
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it seems...
just as a reminder, every time you hear someone telling you like, no, it's not illegal, I'm not bribing anyone, I can just get your case file solved earlier because I did work at immigration, or I have contacts, just pay me this. That's not legal. Okay. So no one can get a case analyzed earlier than the other one. So we just need to follow the due process. And every time a client inquires to me about that, I'm like, if you want to do that, I just want to terminate the engagement. I don't want to have nothing to do with this. Because I do still believe in the due process and the rule of law.
I agree. Cristina, we talked a while back about the investor visas, like when investing, put it in your own name versus a corporation. Can people still put it in a corporation and get residency today?
Yes, however, different requirements must be met. So in the past, if you purchase a property through a corporation, you could do so just setting up an inactive corporation with an equity of like $12 or $20, and just purchase the real estate with your personal funds and put it in the name of the corporation. And for immigration purposes, you will need to demonstrate that you own the equity of the corporation or a percentage of the equity enough to reach the threshold of $150K, which is the threshold of the investment. And then you also needed to submit a document on the value of the property, like the documents of the declaration of value of the municipality, and showing proof that the taxes are paid up. And very important, even though it's not written anywhere, but immigration is also asking for proof of the payment of the luxury tax, the impuesto solidario. So if you have a house to which the luxury tax applies, you better submit proof of payment, or that may be an issue. Now, what changed now? Can you still purchase a property through a corporation? Yes. However, if you want to apply for a residency as investor, you will no longer be considered an investor in real estate. You will be applying as investor in a corporation. So you will need to show that your corporation has an equity reflecting the investment, not the asset, but the corporation. So the equity must be of at least 150,000 US dollars. It must be an active corporation, meaning doing whatever business in Costa Rica, declaring the value of the tax every month. And this is what you need to prove. You no longer have to show that you have this property, which value is blah, 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 the municipality. What matters is the investment, which must be stated and certified by a certified public accountant in Costa Rica. So so it changed the requirement. It is still possible.
Yeah.
Personally, in the cases that I got approved, I had no one that applied under these new rules. I did have a response to one application under the current rules, which was regrettably denied a few months ago when they were just denying. So I don't have a positive outcome yet, but I'm confident that we may have more positive outcomes in this type of investments.
Okay. But I mean, anyone that had applied basically using the corporation the other way, there's some of the ones that are getting approved at the moment.
Absolutely, yes. Positive.
Okay.
Yes.
But any new ones that are coming in, I mean, basically, if you're buying, I don't know, a house here that you're going to rent, you need to make sure that the capital of the corporation is above $150,000. You need to register it as an active company with the tax authorities. Active meaning you need to file your taxes every month, which is a very simple process. If you've got no income or expenses, it's 0-0.
Exactly.
But if you have it as a vacation rental and you have income and you have expenses and taxes, etc., that works as well, basically.
Exactly. Yes, totally.
Okay.
Or at least that should work,
Sure. Yeah. What's the quickest and easiest way for people to get residency, Cristina?
I know you ask this every time we have this podcast, and I think I never give you the answer that you're looking for, because there's no quick and easy way to get residency. But based on what I've seen, rentistas have been the quickest over the past 2 years, and they still are. But finally, we are also receiving approvals of investor residency.
Yep.
Now, what is making a difference in how people are deciding whether to apply under the investor or the rentista category is no longer, a sense of worriness about the new requirements of the investor residency, rather than how much will I have to pay once I become a resident for the caja. Because as you know, once you become a resident, a legal resident in Costa Rica under whatever category, you have to start paying the caja. You have to enroll in the Social Security system, and you pay the caja on a monthly basis. Now, for rentistas, who are the one that needs to demonstrate a stable, permanent, and irrevocable income of $2,500 per month, then they end up paying a caja rate based on that income. And currently, they end up paying a little less than 400 US dollars. They are charged in colones, so it's roughly 180,000 colones
per month.
So depending on the exchange rate, a month. So that's a lot of money, especially if it's just for one person or another family. Whereas investors that finally I was able to enroll in the caja again, because I finally got approvals again, they are paying a lower fee because many investors do not have an income in Costa Rica. So they are being charged the lower rate, which is currently 32,000 colones. So there's a big difference, in the amount you pay. So that
it sounds like the rentista is a lot easier to get with regards to paperwork than having to go through all of the accounting and legal documentation you require for investors. But I suppose it's like whichever one for you. Question though, if I go for a rentista and I have dependents, meaning a wife and kids, can they apply as dependents, but also that caja can cover them as well?
Yes and yes. So if you apply as rentista, only you as principal applicant have to demonstrate the income of $2,500 per month. And your family, meaning your spouse and children, can apply as your dependent, and they only need to prove the bond to you. They do not need to make another rentista deposit or so. They just need to show proof that you're your family members. And once you have your residency approved and the residency of your family, you as principal will go to the caja and enroll as the principal insured person.
Yep.
And then your family can ask to be included in your coverage at the caja without any additional payment being necessary.
Yep.
So if it's a rentista and if it's 180,000 colones and it's a family of 4 or 5, then it may be more acceptable, at least in the head of the person, to pay that and have coverage for the entire family. And if it's just one person, it may be seen as a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean,
I've also noticed, speaking of the caja rates, that pensionados, which is another category, retirees, are also very concerned when they find out that even though you have just a pension of $1,000, which is the minimum threshold required for retirees, then they may end up paying at least $100 of caja rates, which is a lot of money, especially for those who still pay, in the US, Social Security or other countries. So that is a big piece of the cake.
It makes sense, though, because anyone that's going to become a resident here needs to be part of, I suppose, the society of Costa Rica in helping it, which is the Social Security. Okay, you might not need to use it. That's fine. But like other people do, like you're part of this Costa Rican family now. And like we all need to pitch in. And it's not that you just get to choose, when you do and when you don't. But also is if anything serious happens, you're covered. So it's like you don't want to be but the government doesn't want you to be a burden, and neither do the other people. Hence why you need to pay caja.
Exactly. And honestly, some people ask me, but do I really need it? And do I need to do that? I'm like, if you are living here, that's what you need to do. That's the right way to be an expat here.
Correct.
And contributing to the community. Now, of course, no one can force you, but, I do believe it's the right thing to do. And I think I've already mentioned in other podcasts, in the moment that I got my residency, I immediately felt part of the country. And I know that there is a lot of discussion about the gentrification problems. And I think as foreigners that are able to choose this country, we have the obligation to not take advantage of this country and make sure we do it the right way, even more than we will do in our home country.
100%. I mean, I feel like we have a little bit more of a blank canvas here to paint on than we do in our own countries. So, in our own countries, the lines are already drawn and we have to paint within those lines. Here, we don't have that. It's a much more of an open canvas.
Exactly. And I have to say, even though we had struggled with immigration residency application, I do still consider Costa Rica as a very friendly country towards foreigners. And we have to be thankful and respect this country and the people that are here. And also, it is also true, it's not, that we are also here to cause damage. Even, the foreigner community, the foreign investment did help a lot this community. So I also hope that, with education and with the proper information, even locals can accept more foreigners. But if we want that, we need to make the first step. I think we are the one with the obligation of the first step and first action. We have to show that we are in good faith, I
agree. Why should someone not become a resident of Costa Rica, Cristina?
Well, response number one, if they are not living here full time and they are here only part of the year. And second time, if they cannot afford Social Security, but again, then they should consider, because again, the right way, if you're living here on a long term, then you should be contributing with the country. So I know many people are afraid about the caja rate. And for some family, also, they do not like the fact that once you become a resident and you have children who are not yet of legal age, you need an exit permit to leave the country. Correct. And some people do not like that, even though honestly, as a mother, I think it's a great way to protect children against kidnapping. So I'm happy to sign a paper that ensures me that, it's not that easy to take my children out of the country.
Yeah, I remember having to do that. And they were like, do you and your wife have to be present, or you're okay with either one? And we were like, no, we're okay with either one. But I mean, there were so many cases of couples, like, I don't know, an American, Costa Rican, and they get divorced or something happens, someone grabs the kids, goes to the States and like that kind of stuff. And then they never were able to get their kids back to Costa Rica again, like an absolute nightmare. So I completely agree with you, Cristina, on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another important thing to consider is that you can give the permit like to your spouse. You can sign on an exit permit with either parents, but you can change it any moment. And you just need to go to immigration and say, I want to change the exit permit. So that's
it's very, very simple. So
yeah.
How has Nosara real estate like been in 2024, Cristina? I mean, how would you compare it to 2023? Is it cooling down?
I do not think it's cooling down. It is cooling down compared to the after COVID immediate era, but it's kind of stable, and we're just getting the high season started, which is when the most of the real estate deal starts. I did notice that there is a big offer and not so many buyers. After COVID, many people bought properties in Nosara and they built on them. And now all those construction are done, because eventually you can build and have that done in Costa Rica. It is possible. But so there are many offers, especially of luxury homes, and probably not so many buyers.
No, I said to someone the other day when they were looking to buy here, I was like, just remember, you have the power now. Like, it's a buyer's market. It's not a seller's market anymore. Like, it's a buyer's market we're starting to see.
Totally.
So, yeah, I mean, look, I had a client who made an offer on a house. We reduced the offer by 10%. They rejected it. And 2 months later, they came back and said, yeah, you can have it. And the client was like, no, I'm not doing it. Like, I mean, that's how the market has changed. I think there's a realization here of we're going back to what it was like in 2019, where it is a buyer's market.
I totally agree with you. Yeah, that's what I noticed in the Nosara real estate market as well.
Hey, I'm buying, Cristina. I think I bought 2 bits of land this month. I've got one to close next week and one to close the week after that. So yeah.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Okay, my last question for you, Cristina, as I've kept you long enough. If you inherited $500,000 and had to invest into a business or real estate in Costa Rica, what would you invest in and why?
Well, investment, I will probably invest in an area close to Nosara. It may be with that money, if I'm not in a rush, I could just buy a big piece of land and just wait for the market to be, hotter than it is now, and not being a buyer market, and then develop the property or sell it to someone else for development for higher value. If it's a business, probably still a business in real estate, then I will just buy a few apartments for rentals. Well, with that money, depends on where you're looking at. It's not that you can buy so many apartments, but
I mean, for 500,000, where would you do it?
You could buy in San Jose, for example. That's a very good budget to buy something that you can rent out long-term or short-term, depending on the areas. So it's totally doable. But there are still, you can find for that budget, even in Samara, for example, there are options for that.
Definitely. Well, Cristina, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here on the podcast. Anyone that would like to get in contact with Cristina and discuss residency, you can do. All of her contact details in the description down below. But thanks very much for your time, Cristina.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Always. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
So light at the end of the residency tunnel there for investors, guys. I mean, things happen in Costa Rica. Sometimes they just take a little bit of time. And I think patience is definitely the word that I use for Costa Rica. I say, look, in Costa Rica, it's better to swim with the current than swim against it, because otherwise you're going to get tired and it will sweep you away. So it's always best to have patience here in Costa Rica. And things do have a way of working themselves out, guys. I'd love nothing more than a challenge. And I know a lot of people that live here do as well. But I think if you can't put up with that, it's not probably the country for you. But very good news there on the residency application, and just kind of constantly getting a bit of an update there as I would say the playing field is constantly changing there as well. But things appear to be getting better, and the process does appear to be getting more and more efficient. So keep fingers crossed there. Remember, guys, if you're enjoying the podcast, please give us a review. Just click the 5 stars. Remember to subscribe as well. We have podcasts that come out every single week. I'm going to be doing a year-end or kind of wrap-up of what happened in 2024 and the outlook for 2025 in a week or two. So that'll be out basically for kind of the end of the year, start of the New Year's. But appreciate everyone joining us. If anyone wants to chat with us, they can do info@investingcostarica.com. Don't be shy, info@investingcostarica.com. But until the next podcast, very much appreciate everyone's time. Thanks very much. Bye.
The #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.